More than 2,000 years have passed since her death, yet her true face remains hidden. The original records were destroyed, her image reshaped by victorious enemies, and her legacy turned into propaganda. What survives today is not her voice, but the version written by those who defeated her. So how much of her story is real, and how much was carefully manufactured?
Welcome to my channel, Relative History, and this is the story of Cleopatra VII Theophilopater.
She was born into a crumbling dynasty. She ruled one of the richest kingdoms on earth and stood face to face with the most powerful men Rome had ever produced.
Historian Ernest Bradford writes that Cleopatra challenged Rome not as an Egyptian woman, but as a civilized Greek. Claims that Cleopatra was an illegitimate child never appeared in the Roman propaganda against her. To understand briefly about Cleopatra's ancestry, let's take a peek at her family tree. There was a high degree of inbreeding among the Ptolemies. So often, brother-sister, uncle-niece were married within the royalty. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE in the great city of Alexandria, the intellectual capital of the ancient world. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, Greek rulers who had governed Egypt since the time of Alexander the Great. Her father, Ptolemy XII Auletes, was a weak and unpopular king, dependent on Rome to keep his throne. From childhood, Cleopatra learned one brutal truth. Power in Egypt no longer belonged to Egypt, it belonged to Rome.
Unlike her ancestors, Cleopatra was exceptional. She was highly educated, trained in philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and politics.
Her native tongue was Koine Greek, but she was a gifted linguist who learned to speak Parthian, Latin, Arabic, and a whole lot more. She knew 9 or more languages, and most importantly, she learned the native Egyptian language, something no Ptolemaic ruler before her had done. After the demise of Ptolemy XII in 51 BCE, 18-year-old Cleopatra became queen. Forced by tradition to rule alongside her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, whom she had to marry. But Egypt's royal court was a nest of betrayal. Ptolemy XIII's advisors moved quickly against her. Within 3 years, Cleopatra was overthrown, erased from official records, and forced to flee into exile in Syria. But Cleopatra did not surrender. She gathered mercenaries, raised an army, and prepared to fight her own brother for Egypt's crown. At this moment, Rome's civil war spilled into Egypt. The Roman general Pompey fled to Egypt and was murdered on Ptolemy XIII's orders. Soon after, Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria. Cleopatra made a daring gamble. According to ancient accounts, she had herself secretly smuggled into the palace to meet Caesar. Her loyal attendant Apollodorus literally rolled her up in a bundle of bedding, slung it over his shoulder, and walked right past her brother's guards. He carried her into Caesar's private apartment, and there he unfurled her, revealing a disheveled but defiant young queen right at the feet of the Roman general. This was not romance. This was strategy. Cleopatra needed Rome's support. Caesar needed Egypt's wealth. With the help of the mighty Roman army of Caesar, a civil war erupted in Alexandria. By 47 BCE, Ptolemy XIII died, drowned in the Nile, and Cleopatra was restored to the throne. Soon after, she gave birth to a son, Ptolemy XV Caesarion, believed to be Caesar's child. For the first time, Cleopatra ruled not as a puppet, but as a queen with Roman backing. Cleopatra traveled to Rome, living openly as Caesar's ally and Queen of Egypt. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated, and suddenly Cleopatra's protector was gone. She returned to Egypt. Her then co-ruler, her brother Ptolemy XIV, soon died,
likely poisoned by Cleopatra.
Cleopatra ruled alongside her son, Caesarion, securing her bloodline.
Yet Rome was changing. A new power struggle was beginning. Rome fell under the rule of three men, the Second Triumvirate. One of them was Mark Antony. In 41 BCE, Antony summoned Cleopatra to explain Egypt's loyalty. She arrived in Tarsus in theatrical splendor, golden ships, purple sails, incense in the air. She presented herself not just as a queen, but as a living goddess. Antony was captivated. Their alliance soon became a relationship, political and personal. Cleopatra bore him 3 children. Together, they dreamed of a new world order, Rome in the west, Egypt in the east. But one man stood in their way, Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. In 31 BCE, war erupted. At the Battle of Actium, Cleopatra and Antony faced Octavian's navy. The battle was disastrous. Cleopatra fled. Antony followed. Octavian pursued them into Egypt. Believing Cleopatra dead, Antony took his own life. Cleopatra was captured, but she refused humiliation. She attempted to negotiate with Octavian. When she realized he planned to parade her through Rome in chains, she made her final decision. In 30 BCE, at age 39, Cleopatra died. Ancient sources claim she used poison, possibly an asp. As the legend goes, it is believed the asp was delivered in a basket full of figs inside her prison. Some historians say she must have injected the poison herself with some sharp instruments. However, the truth remains uncertain. Soon after, her son Caesarion was executed. Egypt became a Roman province. 3,000 years of pharaohs ended with her. She was Egypt's last pharaoh queen, who lost not because she was weak, but because she faced Rome at its peak. Her story was written by her victors, men who feared powerful women. Yet she ruled for over 20 years. She was a brilliant, savvy, intelligent leader, spoke multiple languages, and held Egypt independent longer than anyone thought possible. History is still uncovering who she truly was. A recent discovery undersea has led experts to believe that her lost tomb will be found soon. Want to know more about this discovery? Then watch my video on Cleopatra's hidden tomb on this channel, which talks about Cleopatra's and Mark Antony's final resting burial. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. Stay tuned to uncover another mystery.